find somebody doing the thing that you want to be doing.
Right.
That would be the easiest way to at least explore the idea, see how they started out, see how it's going for them. You just kind of have to trust yourself and know that even if it didn't work out, you could just start again.
Yeah.
Like you could just do it again, whatever.
Right.
Like not take things so seriously. You're not going to be able to control everything. We have this perceived risk and this perceived stability, but it's all made up. They're both made up.
You're absolutely.
They're both just not real.
Meet Alexandra. It was 11 a.m. and she had already finished all of her work. Another day of staring at the clock, refreshing her email, and trying to convince herself that she cared. Not exhausted, just empty. Bored out of her mind, doing work that she didn't love. Alex was an analyst at the Federal Reserve. Stable job, decent pay, respectable title. But fulfillment? Challenge? Growth? Barely a flicker. When she thought about her future there, supervisor, manager, VP, it didn't excite her. It felt like she was watching someone else's life play out. Safe, but small. Because beneath her polished professionalism, there was a quiet truth. Alex had an entrepreneurial spirit. She was a dreamer, but she was also risk averse, very practical, introverted, uncomfortable starting conversations, especially with strangers. So changing her career or quitting her job or starting a business felt impossible, too risky, too unknown. But something inside of her wouldn't settle. She felt it every morning, every afternoon, every Sunday when the dread crept in. There is more in her. There is more for her to build, more for her to give. And she just didn't know where to begin. Fast forward, and today, Alex is a successful real estate entrepreneur. Not just an agent, but an investor, a strategist, someone who built a career she loves from scratch. But she didn't leap blindly. She did so by taking one intentional and informed step at a time. And one more thing about Alex, she married me. She's my wife. And she's one of the most thoughtful, capable, and quietly courageous people I have ever met. In today's special episode, you'll join us in our living room where I'll be discussing with Alex how she navigated uncertainty, how she pushed through discomfort and resisted a path that didn't fit and created a life and business that gives her fulfillment, autonomy, and genuine joy. And stay tuned to the end of the episode. We have a few bloopers in there while we were recording. We had a bit of fun. Thank you so much for listening. My name is Jay Abbasi, and welcome to Unstuck. Real people, real stories, real solutions. While the details are changed to protect anonymity, what you just heard is based on a true story of challenges that come up in the real world. And we discuss how to navigate these environments with practical tips to help you get unstuck and build a more fulfilling, impactful, and balanced life and career.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to a special episode of Unstuck. You are here in our living room. We transformed our living room into a studio. It probably took more time getting this ready than we're actually going to record. And I am interviewing my incredible, wonderful, intelligent, beautiful wife, Alexandra Preziosi. Thank you so much for doing this, sweetheart.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I never call you Alexandra.
No.
I should. It's a nice name.
It is.
but I have so many other nicknames that I call you.
Mm-hmm.
So it would be hard for me to make that transition, but maybe I do. I don't know.
Whatever you want.
So what I thought we could do, your story, I think a lot of people would find it relatable. There's a lot of things that you've gone through that I think our audience would say, yeah, I know what that's like.
Mm-hmm.
And you've worked through them. But before we get there, what I thought we could do for fun is you could tell the story of how we met.
Okay. How we met. Let's see. I guess I'll start with actually being at my work that I didn't really like at the time, or I just didn't feel fulfilled by it.
Okay.
So I was kind of exploring different things. I had some business ideas that, didn't all work out. And eventually I got an interest in real estate or real estate investing. And I think it started out with like a what they call wholesaling.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't quite being a realtor, but it was still being in the real estate investing space. And I eventually wanted to buy my own property and those sort of things. And I didn't know anybody in real estate at the time. So I put an ad out on Craigslist asking for like a real estate investor mentor. And somebody replied back to me who was not a serial killer, or at least I didn't know that at the time, but he didn't end up being a serial killer.
That's good.
He invited me to this networking event. I started going on a monthly basis. And somewhere in between, I broke my wrist. And the time that I was going to go to the networking event that I met you at, I had a broken wrist. I wasn't supposed to be driving, but I felt like I really wanted to go for whatever reason. And then we met at the networking event and kind of didn't talk completely.
But people thought we were married.
People did think we were married. We were kind of going around with the guy that I met was there. And then there was another guy there who just kind of took me under his wing.
Yeah.
And then he kind of took Brett under his wing. And then you kind of got looped in.
Right.
So we were being introduced kind of together.
Yeah.
And then people started to think that we were married, or at least like a couple people.
Well, for the context, my friend Brett was with me.
Mm-hmm.
And he and I were looking into wholesaling and all these kind of real estate investment ideas. That was the only networking event that I went to until the one we went to last week, which is run by the same people. Right. And it was 8 years later. And we actually did go as husband and wife. But it was so funny, right? Because people were assuming we were married because we ended up just kind of being in the same group. And people were like, oh, you two are married? And we're like, no, we just met. And then it was... 7 months later when we actually went out for the first time, and it was via a LinkedIn post. Yeah. You liked my LinkedIn post. I saw it and I sent you a message. So anyone listening, LinkedIn could be a great place to meet people, but be careful. Don't overdo it because that is also could be a red flag. You shouldn't be using LinkedIn for dating. Right. It just was a great bridge for you and I.
We had already met.
And we had already met.
Yeah,
exactly.
It wasn't like cold.
It wasn't cold. I wasn't trying to make a move via LinkedIn only, right? But so take me back there. Okay. You were working at the Fed even before that networking event.
Okay.
You were starting to feel like something was off.
Yeah.
Take me there.
Yeah, I guess career-wise, mostly, I was just feeling like I should be doing more. Like I felt like I wasn't being challenged in my position. I was kind of bored, really. I didn't really see, I would look at where my trajectory could be, like as a manager, vice president, president, if you want to go all the way up. And I just didn't see myself being in any of those positions.
Why?
Well, because I just kind of felt like the work that those people, or at least the work that I felt they were doing, wasn't going to be work that I felt was interesting to me.
I see. Okay.
And the work that I was doing at the time, I felt like I was able to get all my work done by 10 a.m. And then but I didn't know what was next. I didn't know where else could be the options. I put out some resumes for other positions in different companies, different roles. And I even took a couple interviews and I just felt like that wasn't what I wanted either. So then when I stumbled upon the idea of real estate and real estate investing, I just felt really excited by it, And during this time I was journaling a lot. I was really trying to reflect on like, what is it that's bothering me? And like, what would I want to be doing? Like what that would feel like,
How much did journaling help you?
Incredibly. like with more things than just career. I credit a lot of the progress that I've been able to do personally, like developmentally, to journaling. I have almost 40 journals now.
Yeah.
And that's been over the course of 10 years or like a little under 10 years. So it did start when I felt stuck at my job.
Yeah.
I think that was when I initially was saying to myself, all right, I got to put something on paper. Maybe I'll just kind of brainstorm stupid idea. Like I had so many ideas that would never have really worked out or been something that I wanted to pursue long term. But I guess it was just like the practice of getting my mind going, like creatively, just thinking outside the box. Like, okay, this 9-to-5 corporate job is not what I want, right? Because even the interviews that I took, they were all corporate positions, and it just still didn't feel like anything different, you know?
So when you journal, what's your process? So is it like you evoke a certain question? Is it free flow? Walk me through like your steps of how you go about it.
Yeah, I think it's changed over the years. I think in the beginning, it was just free writing, just writing anything that came to mind. And then I started reading a lot. Like I started reading a lot of self-help books and developmental books and those sort of topics. And then I started writing about those books that I was reading. And now it's very focused on gratitude. I start with writing down like 3 things I'm grateful for every day. And then I also have like 2 books, the daily excerpt books.
Right.
The one is the Daily Stoic that goes, it's just a 1 passage a day thing. And then same with the Marianne Williamson book. It's just 1 passage a day. So it's not consistently every day, but I try to incorporate at least reading 1 passage of those and then kind of reflecting on that teaching.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of it. And then of course, planning, financially, career-wise, just any other ideas that come to mind. I'm just kind of writing it down,
And then they go in the idea can.
They used to go in the idea can.
Where is the idea can?
That's right there.
We still have it?
Yeah, they had a lot of ideas.
We should look through some of those ideas.
Some
I bet there's
good.
some were good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Like innovative business ideas.
Yeah.
Right? Stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So your process just opens up your mind to new perspectives.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like taking that thought stream that we have in our head and then being able to conceptualize it through a writing process.
Right.
And so what would you say was the transition that you then made? Okay, so like you're at the Fed, you're feeling stuck.
Yeah.
Then you started to take some steps. So you mentioned the Craigslist, looking for a mentor.
Right.
What was the next milestone after that?
Probably. So I met a lot of people after that, whether it was at the networking event, through other online forums, like Bigger Pockets was a big one, just real estate, real estate people would know about that. And one of them convinced me to get my real estate license. And I felt real estate was something I was interested in for me.
Yeah.
But I never really saw myself as a realtor or an agent because I always saw that as a sales role. I'm very introverted. I didn't think I would do well with that. But something in the conversation, I said, you know what? I might as well get my license because if anything, I could just, find property on my own. That was kind of the initial idea. And then once I did that, I started having some of my friends reach out to me. They were looking for houses. So then it became, okay, I got my first deal with one of my really close friends. And from there, I got really excited about the whole process. Like I thought it was so fun, and I was still at the Fed. I was doing it part-time. So I guess my next step was getting my real estate license and then actually doing transactions for other people.
Yeah.
And finding out that I really liked doing that.
Well, you said that you're introverted.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people listening can relate to that they're, I can't really go out and do this other thing because I'm not so excited about talking to people. I'm more of a natural introvert.
Yeah.
Yet, when I look at your story, you did a lot of things that would probably scare a lot of introverted people.
Yeah, I was scared.
How did you work through that? How did you work through that fear and that resistance to go to a networking event, to start a conversation with a stranger?
I don't know that I ever really I never got to the point, I don't think, of feeling comfortable with it. You know, I just felt like it was something I knew I had to do because I didn't know anybody. I didn't know anybody, so I knew I had to meet somebody. And the only way that I could meet somebody is if I went to a networking event. I really hyped myself up before the networking event.
Yeah.
And kind of just sit in my car for 15 minutes even before I went in, and just kind of told myself, you know, I'll only be there for a few minutes and it'll be fine. And I was definitely the awkward one that would just sit by herself or be in the corner, not really talking to anyone, with like an awkward smile. But then basically people would start to come up to me. Yeah. And then at that point, you know, for fellow introverts, maybe they could relate. Like a one-on-one or a small setting is not as overwhelming, you know? Like if I'm talking to somebody there who came up to me, I could talk to them for a while without a lot of, you know, nervousness. Mm-hmm. But it is the initial dive into like a sea of people that's terrifying. I think even for non-introverts, it's a hard thing to do.
Well, you said that even now, it's uncomfortable.
Oh, yeah.
So what I'm taking from that is don't expect that it's going to all of a sudden become comfortable. Uh-huh. Like don't assume that, okay, I'm going to be able to do this once and then going forward, it's always going to be a breeze. Yeah. You constantly have to push yourself through your comfort zone to keep getting to the next milestone, to keep moving yourself in the direction that you want to go in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, you know, even socially, it could be hard. And even, you know, being on the phone is hard for me.
Yeah. But like you're on the phone even more than...
Ordering a pizza is hard for me.
But what's interesting about it is that you're on the phone more than I'm on the phone. Mm-hmm. Like people think that I'm a natural extrovert. Right. And I'm more of an extroverted introvert, mm-hmm. meaning I can put on the extrovert. I can then, I then need time to recharge. Like I need time alone in order for me to then turn it back on. Mm-hmm. In a social setting, I could put on the extrovert and it's not that much of a draining thing for me as it would be for you. Yeah. And I guess the funny thing about it is you do more extroverted activities even than I do outside of maybe speaking, outside of like when I'm on a stage.
Yeah, but most of the time you're home in your little think tank.
Right.
And I'm out. Like I'm just out with people.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
I'd rather be, you know.
But I think that's admirable. I think it's admirable that you do the thing that makes you uncomfortable. And I think that that's a lesson that anybody can learn, which is I have to keep pushing myself out of my comfort zone in order to get to that next level. Mm-hmm. And for you, okay, so you start in this real estate journey and then you started working for a real estate developer. Mm-hmm. Talk me through that part.
Yeah. So Craigslist again.
How great is Craigslist for you?
I don't know how Craigslist is now. I mean, even at the time, it was sketchy. It's not like...
Was that 7 years ago?
Yeah, 7, 8. Yeah, about 6, 7 years ago.
Yeah.
And like, I think the Craigslist killer was like a thing. You know, it wasn't like you were safe on Craigslist, I guess. But anyway, I was at the Fed, just still lost, like just still not. And mind you, this period of time was probably... I mean, I was at the Fed for 6 years total. By year 2, I already knew I know that I don't want to be here forever. Which, okay, fast forward another 4 years. It took me that long.
Yeah.
Doing all this real estate stuff in the meantime, but still not having a clear next step. That was what I was struggling with. I was like, okay, well, I know this is kind of where I want to go, but I'm very risk averse. I didn't feel like I had the confidence at the time to just jump into being a realtor full time. You know, I didn't know what that would look like. And I didn't even know if I wanted to do that, really. Yeah. Like I liked it as a side hustle and I liked the work that I was doing, but a day in, day out realtor, I didn't know if that was something I wanted to do. So I started to think, I was like, okay, well, maybe if I pair it, maybe I could find something where I'm working with an investor and I could still do my real estate. That was like my next thought, I guess. Mm-hmm. Like I still wanted a full-time job, basically. Like I still wanted a steady income, something that would make me feel like I wasn't taking on a huge risk. So I posted on LinkedIn and I posted on Craigslist and I said, you know, ambitious real estate, ambitious, I don't know what I said, you know, aspiring real estate investor looking for an assistant or something like that. Like some assistant role I kind of posted.
Sure.
And I got a response from Matt, and he just so happened to be working right across the way from where I was at the Fed.
Right.
Which was crazy. And we chatted a little bit on Craigslist, and I met him in his office, and we kind of just hit it off. At the time, he was just in the early stages of building his construction company, and he also had a brokerage.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the pairing that I was looking for at the time. At the same time, the construction company, it was early. It was like kind of the startup stages. He had done a few, Matt is very confident, and he's a really ambitious guy. And I felt like when I was meeting with him, and even obviously down the road, you know that like when maybe you could always cut this out, but when Matt puts his mind to something, he's going to do it. So there was a kind of a confidence that I felt about, okay, if I do pursue this role with this guy, it is a risk because it's startup, it's small family business, but it would allow me the opportunity to get more into, say, investments, development, construction, which I was always interested in, and also do my real estate. So, there was the pros and cons, but I felt like that was maybe a good next lateral move.
So do you feel that having someone like Matt, who was very confident, gave you the confidence a bit? Did that help you rather than you feeling like you're doing it all on your own? You were able to partner with someone in taking those steps.
No. Well, no, I don't think that was what gave me the confidence, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you feel did?
I think just having a next step towards something closer to where I wanted to be was what gave me the confidence. You know what I mean? Like I was submitting resumes to all these other corporate positions that I wasn't interested in. And now I felt like, okay, this is a role that I would be interested in, because it felt like, okay, I'm going to help this guy start this company more or less, or grow this company, I should say. And, he's also a very experienced, so I guess partially, yes, but he's also a very experienced realtor and an agent. And he had a lot of success with that. So I did feel like it gave me the confidence to take a little bit of a risk, knowing that, all right, I'm still going to have a role now in an industry that I'm really interested in, really doing work that I'm very interested in, and I could still do my real estate, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So like that made me feel like I was comfortable taking the jump from a traditional corporate, logistics, finance, whatever you want to call it, role that I wasn't very fulfilled by, to something that I was at least more interested in doing. And hopefully I would be able to learn more about like real estate and investing and those sort of things.
So you had the two different ways that people would approach, let's say, taking that kind of leap. Some would say, burn the bridges and just go.
Yeah.
Right? Drop everything.
Yeah.
You had a different approach.
Yeah.
And so what do you feel like were the lessons that this taught you that others can consider when wanting to make that kind of transition, whether it's to be an entrepreneur or maybe it's to do a new career, to make a complete different shift in the trajectory of where they're going? What would you say are the lessons that you learned through what you just shared?
I think it depends on your personality. Like I know that my personality, or I don't even know if I should say personality, but just the way that I feel I am is more risk averse. So I wasn't going to do burning the bridges and taking this big risk. And I felt like I needed to feel financially stable and those sort of things before doing anything like that. So what I would say to somebody who I guess has that similar idea, like they're kind of more risk averse, but they want to make a change in their career, but they don't know what, or they're presented with an opportunity that they might be completely different than their schooling, than what they're doing currently, And my advice to them would be a few things. If you have the opportunity to do, say, work your regular job and be able to do whatever you're a little bit more interested in on the side, like as a part-time job, as a side hustle, whatever it is, if you're able to do that on the side, I think that's like while you're working full time. I think that's like number one. I
Yeah.
think that's like the easiest thing that you could do to kind of just test the waters.
Yeah.
And then two, I would say, depending on what the opportunity is, like for example, with Matt, I knew, okay, I was making maybe 90,000 at the time at the Fed, and my initial salary with Matt was going to be 65,000, so I was going to be taking a, whatever that is, $25,000 salary cut, but there was also like bonus opportunities and that sort of thing that I saw hopefully to be fulfilled. So knowing that I was taking the salary cut with no real guarantee at the time, at least for like bonuses and those sort of things, I knew I also had to feel comfortable with my savings. So I think two would be have a emergency fund, whatever you want to call it, like have money. Okay. Like have a little bit of money depending on the risk. Like, especially if you're going to do the burn the bridges, you're going to need a lot of money.
Yeah.
And a lot of people maybe don't know how much money they need. So I would say maybe that's sub 2. I don't know if that's like part of the same thing. Like start tracking your spending, how much you're spending every month, how much your burn is.
Yeah.
Because that's going to tell you very quickly how much money you need in the bank. God forbid you either have no income or you're going to be taking a lot, like a significant salary cut.
Right.
So I would say, don't be discouraged by making less money, but just have a plan.
Well, I want to ask you more about finances.
Okay.
Because in a bit, but I just want to relate this to person I met in New York City recently. I'll leave his name out just because But you remember I went there?
Yeah.
And he had a desire to do something different. Very risk averse person, similar to you. Did not want to just take this huge leap. He is the breadwinner for his family and he can't take such a risk. So what I advised him to do was consider just to have those conversations with people in the other industry he was interested in. It was completely different, right? He works in, accounting and finances and business building, business development. And he became interested in more like things related to people's disabilities and how to really bring that awareness to people at work. And so what I ended up helping him to do was just connect to somebody that was in that space. I just happen to know someone, right? And they are then connected. They have that conversation. That's the kind of step that you would recommend someone take, especially if they're a risk-averse person.
Yeah. Yeah. Find somebody doing the thing that you want to be doing.
Right.
That would be the easiest way to at least explore the idea, see how they started out, see how it's going for them. I think that's really good advice.
Because you don't need to quit your job. And what I also think is true is that when you do start taking those steps, you just start to feel better. You start to feel different. Your energy starts to change.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like, in other words, it's like, okay, you got to still go when you were going to the Fed. I'm not saying that you were absolutely miserable. No. There were great people that you worked with.
Sure.
I'm sure it helped you to know that, hey, I'm actually taking some steps here in this other venture. And so I can show up to work without feeling absolutely drained.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Like, I feel like for me, it was in the form of this new side hustle, this new interest.
Yeah.
Right. So I guess people could also find that in a hobby that they have or whatever it is, like, I guess it doesn't have to be necessarily career oriented, I suppose. But I do think that it's important to have something where, you feel interested. I know I'm like blowing this answer for you.
No, you're not.
But yeah, what were you saying? You were saying how it helped me to show up to work. Yeah, well, I felt like I was a step closer to getting where I wanted to go. So I already kind of accepted, because I felt like in the beginning of my angst about wanting to move on from the Fed, I was feeling really upset. I was feeling really resentful. I was feeling really like frustrated, angry, just not happy. And I think when I started to see a little bit of a path, I was able to let it go. I was able to accept the fact that, you know what? I have a job. I'm grateful that I have a job. I'm grateful that I'm able to make a little bit of money. I'm grateful that I could pay my little to no bills at the time because I was living with my mom.
Yeah.
But that I was able to transition that into being accepting of where I was at and just being grateful for it and what it was providing me, and I did love the people there and there was a lot of positive and I was able to focus more on the positive because I wasn't so like stuck, I guess. I wasn't feeling as stuck where I didn't know what my next step was. I was like kind of seeing a light at the end of the tunnel. And I think that helped me kind of let go of all of that, like, frustration.
So I like that you mentioned that it didn't have to be career oriented, right? Somebody wants a passion that's completely unrelated to their career. Having that could give you the energy to be able to show up to work better.
Yeah.
And, all it took was you seeing progress, right? You were getting the feedback from, I'm meeting with this person, I'm having these conversations, kind of really conditions the subconscious mind a bit to say like, okay, we are really doing this now. It's not just an idea anymore. The conversations, the meetings, the events that you were going to really proved, it provided the evidence to your subconscious that, hey, there is a light at the end of this tunnel.
Right.
I'm moving in a good direction. Now, you brought up the finances part because I think that that's interesting for people to hear about. I was a complete buffoon, terrible with finances before I met you. I just went for things. I didn't think about them. Remember the Who Moved My Cheese? Which one am I again? Scurry.
Yeah.
Right?
Scurry.
Scurry is the mouse. Is it the mouse, right? Because there's four
They're
mice.
both mice.
There's four mice.
Yeah.
And there was Sniff, which is the mouse that kind of sniffs things out before doing. And then there was Scurry, which was the mouse that just goes.
Yeah. Scurry.
Full Scurry. I tend to have that approach to things, but you've helped me to think through finances a bit more. Talk to me about your process. Like, okay, so you're saying to someone, be careful. Don't just not think about money.
Okay.
How would you advise someone to proceed with, okay, I want to take this new challenge on, and I want to go through a process of knowing where I'm at financially and what that would look like. How would you walk someone through that process?
Yeah. I think the biggest thing that gave me clarity, I know I mentioned it earlier, but was tracking my spending. I've been tracking my spending probably for 6 years now. And it was probably, I guess that is around the time that I was making that transition. And I knew I wanted to know exactly how much I needed to have saved up for like a year in case, I don't know, maybe this opportunity didn't work out. And now I have no job, right? I don't know. So tracking my spending was number one. I would definitely advise that. I mean, I do it and you do it, I know, through just a Google sheet.
It is very manual.
It is very manual. There's other ways to do it, but I felt like that was the best for me because every time I make a transaction, I'm putting it in immediately. Yeah. And that's like intentional.
You're at a restaurant, we get the bill, you go onto your cell phone and you put it in before we leave the restaurant.
Right. And for me, the manual process is very important because it is also telling me that I'm spending something.
Right. It's the act itself. It's like, I feel it more versus I just swipe the card and I don't think about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So you could have the automatic trackers and they'll tell you, but it's not as palpable. It's not as tangible. I just spent something.
Right. You pull $100 out of your pocket, you hand to somebody, you feel it more than you just swipe a card. So you're saying that's a version of that with the spreadsheet.
Right.
Okay. So you're saying track your spending, know how much you spend. What else?
Yeah. I mean, and that sounds tedious, but I just think that once you get into the habit, it's like second nature and it's a huge, payoff. Okay. What else? So once you have that, I think you could, whether you want to have 6 months saved, whether you want to have 12 months saved, it at least gives you a goal for how much you should have saved prior to making whatever transition or taking some risk. So for example, if I have tracked my spending and I know that I spend $4,500 a month for my life, and I want a year of savings, then okay, it's times 12, whatever that is. I don't do math in my head, 50 grand, 55, whatever.
Well, let's say it's 5, that's 60.
Okay,
right?
sure. Yeah, 5,000 a month.
That's
so
60K.
I need 60K in my bank account And that's going to make me feel comfortable to take this risk or perceived risk, whatever. And I think that would be a great goal. Like, okay, so if you don't have 60 grand in your savings account, you have zero.
For a year. Right?
That's for a year.
You're projecting out a year and saying, okay, I need to be able to cover a full year of spending, even if I'm making zero.
Yeah, making zero, hypothetically.
Right, but that's like an extra layer of safeguard.
Yeah.
It's like a enough of a net to where if I were to fall off this, tightrope, which hopefully you don't, right? But you have this net. It's not to suggest that you're only going to be relying on that. It's like your hope is I'm going to be earning some income.
Right.
But if it was the worst of all case scenarios, I have the 60,000 saved, and hopefully I will earn income to where I don't have to use all that 60,000.
Yeah.
That's the process that you would recommend someone go through.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah. And then you have that budget. Okay. And then when it comes to things like, okay, working through the fear, because people work through the fear, have to work through the fear.
Mm-hmm.
What do you feel like would help anyone who says, okay, I can go through the finances, I just can't take the step? How would you help? How would you recommend somebody to take the step? Like, you took a lot of steps, right?
Right.
I think that's the most critical part. What would you tell them?
Well, I guess for me, the financial piece was a big piece of that confidence.
Right.
So I feel like, and I'm just going to generalize, I think that would take away a lot of the fear already. The next thing is really just, you just kind of have to trust yourself and know that even if it didn't work out, you could just start again.
Yeah.
You could just do it again, whatever.
Right.
Not take things so seriously. You're not going to be able to control everything. You can't.
Right.
You can't predict the future. Even at your current job, even at the Fed, for example, I felt like I had stability. I felt like, okay, I don't want to mess up a good thing or whatever the case may be, but they could have fired me. Wouldn't that have put me at the same position?
Absolutely.
Wouldn't that have put me at, okay, I have no income now, and I still should have a savings, regardless. So it's like, I guess we have this perceived risk and this perceived stability, but it's all made up. They're both made up.
You're absolutely.
They're both just not real.
This is something I try my best to explain to people, that there is no such thing as full security, absolute stability in any 9-to-5. It just does not exist. It is an illusion of the mind. Anything could happen to where your 9-to-5 position could. So I would say you should do this process of finances regardless.
Yeah, for sure.
If you're thinking about making a change or not, because wouldn't it be a good thing to know that, even if,
oh my God
forbid, right, they go through some sort of elimination of roles, or they go through major cuts within your organization. We're coming towards the end of the year, maybe the beginning of 2026.
Yeah.
That's what your company does.
Right.
And not knowing that is a big problem.
Yeah.
Not knowing your finances is a big problem.
Right. And I would even say, I don't know if this is relevant. I would even say, I don't know. I meet people who are older that have been in their career for a really long time and they feel like they can't retire. But how do they know that?
Right.
Really?
Yeah,
how do they know that if they don't know what they need?
Right.
They could have $1 million in the bank and feel broke.
Right. Yeah.
Because they have no idea how much they spend. And to them, that's not enough because, oh my God, I don't know what that translates to on a yearly basis. They could be working in their job longer than they need to be.
Yeah.
Because they just don't know. That's not even just retirement, just people even our age. Like if they do want to take a break from work or something along those lines, they feel like they can't. Because if they stop working, then that means they have zero money at some, you know what I mean? Like they feel like they're going to run out of money. And that might be true. But it might not be true. Like you might actually have a lot of surplus that you don't even know because you don't know how much you actually need to live, you know? And I feel like knowing that, at least for me, has been super freeing in knowing that, okay, well, I have this amount in the bank. I spend this amount every month. And that means that I'm all right. You know, like I could kind of take time off if I wanted to.
Yeah.
And I don't think that I could ever feel that way if I didn't know how much I spent.
Right. Yeah.
I could never feel that way.
Right. Well, that, as you said, is what gave you a lot of the courage to take the steps that you did, to go from working at the Fed to working with a real estate developer to now having your own real estate enterprise where you, as an investor, as an agent, have built yourself a successful business. Yeah. So I think you broke down some of the recipe that got you to where you are now. And I appreciate you sharing all this with us. Alexandra, baby girl, thank you so much for doing this, sweetheart. I really appreciate it. And for anyone listening, to see more about Alex, you're very active on LinkedIn. Yeah. So Alexandra Preziosi is a great way to find you on LinkedIn. Mm-hmm. And then the website, is it alexandrapreziosi.com?
It's alexpreziosirealestate.com.
That's what it is.
Or Instagram, wherever.
alexpreziosirealestate.com. I'll put that in the notes for everybody. So thank you so much for doing this, sweetheart.
Baby.
Yeah.
I hope I helped.
I think you did. And for
I don't know.
I think you did.
I don't know.
I know that the lessons that you shared here are the things I already learned from you, just from being with you for the years that we're together, that I'm glad we were able to pull them from the conversation.
I'm happy to help.
Yeah. And for everyone listening, wishing you a wonderful holiday season and a happy new year.
We were in a bit of a time crunch when we were recording this episode. You'll see it in the bloopers. We're kind of rushing at the very end. We didn't rush through the conversation, but we had something to do right after we recorded. And I still think that Alex did a fantastic job. I am so grateful to be her husband and to have such an amazing partner in my life. So if you're listening, I love you, sweetheart. Thank you for doing that, for giving our guests such value. And I will do my best to synthesize it down to our 3 insights and our 3 actionable takeaways. First of 3 insights is the power of journaling. Alex has over 40 journals. And in her writing process, it's helped her to gain clarity. It's helped her to identify the next steps. And because she went through that process consistently, it opened her up to the possibilities and the opportunities that came to her. So I really recommend having a process like that. For some, it could be journaling with pen and paper. Others, it could be typing it out. Others, it could be just through conversation. But having some avenue through which you can get your ideas out of your head and be able to get beyond the concept into something that's actionable. Second insight, you may never be comfortable. When Alex talked about networking and speaking with people, it still makes her uncomfortable. And you have to have that expectation that the comfort may never go away. And if you're going to wait until you're comfortable, you're going to wait forever. So you have to be able to push yourself through it. Build up the muscle to step into the discomfort, not hoping for the discomfort to go away. That's the wrong mindset to be in. You're not hoping that you're not going to feel uncomfortable. You're instead taking the action that pushes you through the discomfort. Third insight, trust yourself. She said how she made certain decisions knowing that she could make another decision later. So you don't have to take every decision as though it's some life sentence where you have to take it so seriously. You don't know what the future is going to bring. So if you make a decision now, you can make a different decision later. The first of our 3 actionable takeaways, take small steps. One thing I love about Alex's story is that she didn't take any huge risks. She just took some steps, then another step, then another step, and that progress helped her. These steps helped her to get closer to where she wanted to be. And because of that, she was able to get to the position she's in now, where she's running her own business. So don't see it as a big leap. It isn't. Take small steps. Second actionable takeaway, find someone doing the thing that you want to be doing. Find that person. Start that conversation. She used Craigslist. I'm not saying that you need to use Craigslist, but there are so many avenues out there. It could be through LinkedIn. It could be through your network. It could be through attending an event. There's so many different paths to this. Find the person that is doing the thing that you want to be doing and have that conversation. From that one conversation, it can open up a lot of doors for you. And then the third actionable takeaway, Know your finances. Know how much you're spending each month. Know what you need before you even take a step into that path of change. Because if you can say with confidence, I know how much I need to make, or I know how much I have saved in order to cover my expenses, you're now giving yourself a lot more of that sense of comfort and security to be able to take more bold steps. But if you don't have that information, you're going to stay in this dark place. Knowing the finances, knowing where you're at, sheds some light onto what is needed in order for you to live comfortably and to be able to build the lifestyle that you really want for yourself. So it could be a bit tedious, but I promise you, it's worth it. Join us on Friday. I'm going to help you get ready for 2026. I'm going to help you to set some clear goals. We're going to go through an exercise that will help you to gain some of that clarity in identifying what is it that you want to achieve and how do you create a plan to achieve it. What I find is that too often people overcomplicate how to set goals. It's this big, complex process. And in my own personal experience, as well as coaching hundreds of people, I find that there is a simpler and more effective approach that we're going to be going through on Friday. So you don't want to miss that. And as I promised, there are a few bloopers here I'm including at the end. So enjoy them. And until next time, thank you so much for listening.
I feel like I didn't smile enough, and like I feel like
I think
I'm
you
just
smiled
like
plenty.
awkward.
I don't
I'm
think
just
you're
like
awkward.
awkward. Like this is Jew, but I still feel awkward. Like I know that it's being recorded.
Well, our living room looks absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, it's a complete mess.
All right, so that was enough value you felt.
I felt it was.
Was there anything that I didn't really talk about that you would have wanted me to talk about? I mean, because you could do it now.
I know, but I don't. Is there anything that you wanted to say? You could say it into the microphone.
I mean, maybe I don't know. Like I think there were parts that I didn't like. No, don't keep that. Your mom. Are you kidding me?
You think she's listening?
Hell effing
You
no.
think, Ma, are you going to listen to this podcast? I don't think so. I don't think she's listening to the full podcast. Oh, you think because it's you and I, she might actually listen to this full one because it's you and I, it's a special.
Your aunts. Anybody? Get the hell out of here. You're cutting that. Hell effing no. You are cutting that.
Yeah, we gotta go. All right, let's wrap
Wait,
this
leave
up.
this here.
Why?
Well,
No, I
we
want
have
to. We have to go, but like we need.